Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's AMA. It is not going to just be me. There will be other people here on the stage momentarily. They are all loading in now, so give us just a couple minutes and we'll get things started. All right, looks like the whole crew is here. Today's going to be a AMA with the growth department, the growth side of the team. So we've got a few people here to represent the different pillars of that. But first, we'll start off with Frisky Fox.
Happy to be here. Another week is at our doorstep, and that's a big one. We're very busy from the builders side of things on Crystal Vale and on the Perilous Journey, improvements for stamina and how that works with the questings, queuing for gardening, and just a bunch of other smaller things like that. So yeah, we're just hard at work there. It's been a big week last week. We had Eth Denver, which I think Dreamer will probably speak on a little bit more. But from my standpoint, it was just so nice to get to meet so many people from the community and also some of the team. Meeting for the first time was also really fun. We went and actually threw axes, so I was stoked about that. But it's been a really amazing journey so far this year. We've got a lot of really big things happening. And this is like starting to come up on the time where we're about to launch all these really cool things. And I'm just so excited for those to be almost ready. So that's where we're at there. I'm sure I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but we've got more people in Discord now and we're growing on all fronts there. We've got some cool partnerships. I always really love to talk about those things, but that's really the growth side of things. And these are the wonderful people here in the growth area doing the marketing and the biz dev and creative and community and all those things. And we've got a lot of really cool things that they will be talking about shortly. So I'll just shut up a little bit and let them do what they do best. So please turn the time over to them and let's hear what they have to say.
Fox, we always like hearing from you. Dreamer, you want to go ahead and kick us off on the growth side?
Sure. So this is exciting. It's our first growth pillar AMA. So we have a number of people here represented across Impact Initiative, Sunbear, Marketing, Spicy, Creative, Pieface, Risen, who is moving more into kind of an event specialist role. So he helped a ton with Eth Denver. He's going to give us an update on that and what's to come. So to kick us off, I'll share a few comments and start passing it over to the folks here. There's one thing that showed up last week that I think many have noticed is the ability to change your profile picture. And with that came incremental utility as well. So we were really looking for ways to make the overall experience more fun. I think the builder side did a great job with that, as one of the first applications came working Harmony on an initiative that they were driving with Bored Apes. They had been working on an NFT bridge to bridge over the metadata, and they asked us if we had any functionality to actually display it in game, and we are actually working on that, not only for Bored Apes, but actually for everybody to consider bringing in external NFTs and finding utility. The first bit of utility would be simply your profile picture. I just wanted to answer a few questions I think I saw. The Bored Apes is a Harmony initiative. They requested that utility support. We obliged, and it was their overall incentive program where they're paying, I think, 50 Joule for the first 100 that participated in that. So it's their initiative. The money comes from them. We supported it and facilitated it. Just as we will look to support and facilitate other projects that want to come over and say, hey, we have XYZ NFTs. Could we be supported for that? And we will start those conversations. So really exciting change there. And look to have other utility as well with external NFTs going forward.
Yeah, so just to make sure I'm on the same page. But yeah, so the metaverse, that's a huge part of the blockchain experience, and having things from other games inside of one game is really the unique opportunity that we have here. So we are for sure looking into ways to pull in other NFTs into our experience here. And yeah, this was a easy one, and trying to look for other ones out there that would like to partner. Harmony will be incentivizing this. So anytime somebody comes with a blue ape and signs up, Harmony will be buying jewels to basically send to them, which increases utility of jewels. And for other ones in the future, we have some pretty cool ideas about how to integrate those as well. But each time it's going to be like a win-win for the project and for those other projects as well. So increasing utility of jewels and other things in our game as well.
Cool. What I understand about that is I think it was only the first 100, so I don't think they're doing that ongoing, but I'm sure there may be others to come, and other projects are welcome to do it as well. So that's the update on that incremental application of external utilities and some of the questions external entities and their utility and some of the questions that we got. There were other questions on the champion program, but I think I'm going to go into those after all of those that we have here on the growth side give their updates. So, Bolon, I'll hand it back over to you to carry us through.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for the updates on the champion program as well and some more inside information there. One thing real quick, because I forgot to give my spiel at the beginning. If you do have a question, raise your hand. It'll load you into the queue. We will poll some live questions. We are trying to get back to a little bit shorter than the hour that we had been running the last few weeks. So we may not get to take as many questions, but we're going to try to get to as many as we can. So raise your hand. If you have your hand raised and your question gets answered, please lower your hand so that we can get to more people. With that, let's turn to Sunbear and Grants.
All right. Thank you, Bolon. Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. I just wanted to take a few minutes to update you on our new grant program and where we're at with that. Launched it a couple weeks ago, and we have had over 50 applications come through. Some really exciting things. In fact, you're going to see, I imagine, pretty soon postings here on Discord of the different grants. And basically, it's just going to be a nice proposal that shows the details of it, what it's about, its rationale, great images, the timeline, and everything. And then you'll have an opportunity to engage with the team about that for about a week as you check that out, ask questions, make suggestions. At the end of that week, we'll have a community vote whether we move that forward and approve that grant approval. So some of the cool things we're seeing, I know you've heard about some of these things on Discord, but like some simplified combat abilities that you can actually use your NFT to combat with each other, some safe swap options, even some separate games that would come in and be like a side game on the blockchain that they're just looking for a little bit of help to get started. Lots of different proposals about learning more about your heroes, the genetics, how well they match up, things like that. Also, some support for building guilds, different community, things like that. Summoning tools, how do you find that perfect match for what you want? Even some great ones around education, just like how do we really show our community what this is all about and how to utilize it and get the most out of it. Even some like notification apps. So when the hero you're looking for, your perfect hero is for sale finally, and getting notified for that. Trackers, chats, just lots of exciting things. So watch for those coming. I'm going to be working with these teams to help bring their proposals together, refine them, and get them out to you for vote and engaging with.
Would you real quick, sorry if I interrupted, would you real quick just cover a brief overview of what the timeline looks like for somebody who submits the application?
Yeah, so the initial application is basically the starting point. And then and my job is to get the application, work with them, and get it to that point where we can push out the proposal to the community. Since we've got a lot of these at the beginning, we're just going to take them as they come in. So as they're received, they'll be processed. Right now, I think on the website, we've got 2 to 4 weeks to get that initial processing happening and that internal review. And so we're building the team to do this process, and you're going to start seeing a lot of movement really soon. So
perfect. Dreamer, did you have something you wanted to tag onto that?
Yeah, so we have finished up Eth Denver, and a lot of people were really excited about the grant program as they learned about it, especially those on other projects. I was even talking to a few projects on Harmony. Shout out to Fightfish, where they came out and they said, hey, how could we end up use your NFTs in our game, or maybe you even use some of ours? And we really like this way of thinking. We don't want people to look at DeFi kingdoms as we continue to grow and have success as being separate from everything else. If anything, we're this ecosystem that we want to invite all to come and build on top of and partner with, and external entities come into DeFi kingdoms and provide utility, and then other games provide incremental utility and all the various tokens in DeFi kingdoms. It's better for all of us. So we're very receptive to the process. Sunbear is going to be working with a lot of people directly to make sure that the proposal is as good as it can be, so that the community is as educated and in the know of the proposal, because we'll have to vote on it. So if the proposals are not as helpful or not representative of how awesome the proposal is, or the project, or where the grant money would go to, I think it'll be hard for the community to be able to make that decision.
And another thing we're doing as well is at the end of the proposal might be like a 5 to 10 PDF with images and information, deliverables, milestones, all that kind of stuff. But at the end, it'll actually have a summary sheet that shows what we've done with this team. It shows all the feedback we gave them, ways that we helped enrich the idea, and stuff like that. So you'll see more about the process with that whole proposal.
For sure. Yeah. If y'all have ideas, flesh them out, bring them to us. That's what we're here for. That's what we're going for. Spicy, did you want to give a marketing update for us?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I was setting up my new mic today. Yeah, I feel like I haven't been here in forever. I'm really excited to be here on this AMA today. Right now, the marketing department is very busy. There's a lot happening as far as the development of marketing strategy, brand strategy, data and analytics, specifically the setup of analytics tied to the game itself, which will not only help provide the marketing team with insights, but we also plan to work closely with the dev team, providing them with data that will continuously help improve the entire gameplay experience for our players. We are focused on ways to improve our interactions with the community on socials as well. I'm teaming up with Bolon and Isla to work on ways that we can better serve our community across all platforms with enhanced player support. Our communities have grown so fast. We are seeking ways in which we can help new players while catering to our existing user base and at the same time keep an eye on the road ahead. We're always seeking opportunities that will make DeFi Kingdoms better for every member of our community. We have had a lot of different platforms that we operate on get set up in the past couple months, but I always like to think of Discord as our home base. The support we've had here since day one has been astronomical. We have been able to establish one of the biggest, most active and helpful communities that I've ever seen out of most GameFi projects. And that has been a huge part of our success so far. So I think I can speak for the entire team when I say that we are really fortunate to have you guys here with us on this journey. But back to marketing, we do have a lot of in-depth marketing plans right now. I won't be too detailed on the nitty-gritty, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain. I will say our main goal right now is to support our initiatives for outward growth. With Crystal Vale on the horizon, we have new lands to explore, new communities to welcome, and I am looking forward to bringing you guys updates and announcements and about new and exciting initiatives this month.
Absolutely. I'm going to tag myself in for 2 seconds because I don't actually think I gave myself a moment to have an update, but I'm going to give one anyway. One thing that we've been working on a lot in the community department that I'm really excited about is we have our vertical growth. We're focusing a lot as well on our horizontal growth. So we now have a total of 6 Discord servers, I believe 7 Telegram channels. So we're focusing on the horizontal growth to reach our international communities. So each of those 6 Discord servers serves a different language. This will always be our hub. This will always be our main Discord. But obviously, this whole Discord is really set up around English. And we don't want to provide a lesser experience to people who don't speak English. So currently we have Japanese, Chinese, Tagalog, Russian, Italian. Those are the 5 plus English, all have unique Discord servers so that we can provide those same experiences to other communities that speak other languages. And we're going to keep fleshing that out as well. And we're going to keep growing there. Also, we want our platforms to be a home for everybody. And we don't want it to be restricted by what language you may or may not speak. And that's where we are lucky to have some really amazing nights just across the board, but especially amazing nights that speak other languages. As you all know, I do not. And so it's been really good to be able to create these spaces and watch these spaces grow with people who just didn't get access to the same level of information as we were here. And now we have nights that are translating everything into their respective languages for them. So I'm really excited about that. And it makes me really happy to see these communities grow and see these people who weren't getting the same level of experience as we were have access to that same level of experience. With that, we're going to hand over to Risen for a moment to talk about Denver.
Hey, everybody. So glad to hear those words come from Bolon. Give you a little update. Denver overall was very successful for us, especially being that it was only our second event. First one was in Miami. This event in Denver was a little bit of a looser structure with multiple events happening around the city rather than having a centralized booth. So we could interact with a lot of different people in the space from other projects, people in the community, people that were just super interested in crypto and DeFi. The main event for us was DFK Day. That's the day that we worked on with Harmony to put together. We had a ton of people there that were working on brainstorming ideas, coming up with interesting solutions for different problems. Basically, an entire day of very smart people working in a room thinking nothing but DeFi kingdoms. A few panels were held with the devs leading up to the alpha talks at night, which you guys saw on the live stream with Frisky. We also opened up the latter half of the day for the community to show up, do a little bit of a meet and greet, as well as snag some of our merch, which was very good. There's a lot of people in Denver and the surrounding areas, as well as over the country, that are wearing DeFi Kingdom shirts and stickers all over the place. Because our experience walking around, anybody that saw our shirts immediately came, tried to take pictures with us, ask questions, dive deep into it. People are very excited. So overall, Denver went fantastic, and we're looking forward to do more events and more community opportunities to interact with y'all.
Agreed. Denver was awesome. If y'all get the chance to come to an event and meet us, please do. It's so cool to meet y'all and put faces to usernames. Pieface, did you want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the creative world?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. In the creative department, we have been working on the merch. And so the Eth Denver merch that was there, that was us. And everybody was super excited about the merch in Eth Denver. We had so many stickers. We had Crystal Vale stickers that were bumper stickers and Sarandale bumper stickers. We had jewel stickers, crystal stickers, holographic egg stickers. So if you are missing an egg or don't have an egg, you can get that sticker and you'll have an egg. So I definitely snagged a few so I could finally have some eggs. But there were also NPC stickers and vinyl ones that you could put onto your laptop. And yeah, what was mentioned, we handed out the shirts and face masks, and a very lucky few were able to snag a bloater beanie. We have, I think, a Purple Onion had a picture of it. But anyways, what I want to share is for everybody who's going to Avalanche Summit in March, get ready for the merch because it'll definitely be even more leveled up. And if you're going to be there, snag some that it'll be exclusive only at the event. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to meet everybody there as well.
Very much looking forward to Avalanche Summit, which I think we've acknowledged it multiple times, but I don't know that we've actually said it in an AMA. So surprise, guys, we're going to Barcelona. We'll be at the Avalanche Summit in Barcelona end of March 22nd to 27th, if I remember correctly. I know we've acknowledged it and we've hinted at it and we've talked about it, but I don't think we've ever actually announced it. So here's the announcement. With that, Dreamer, let's go back to you. Did you want to talk about the champion program some?
Yeah, I think before that, I'll just recap and add on to a few things that was said. I just want to reiterate, Spicy has been crushing it in marketing. I think marketing for a project that's grown this fast is something that's really important and really hard to do. To outward market while we're even catching up with milestones and all these other things, it's something that you need a really good team for. And now that we are structured in this growth structure and always growing, there's a lot of really incredible things happening. You can do a lot with information, and our focus on analytics and information and talent is one that's going to allow us to really represent the project in the right way to get it in front of people that are interested and curious and to connect them with the education required to get onboarded. You match that with our expansion plans and our plans for combat and achievements and everything else that's out there. I think the future is really bright from a growth perspective. To add on the event at Eth Denver, Rizan was right. People were so excited to see us. Really, anybody that was wearing a DeFi Kingdom shirt, they probably ran up and was like, DeFi Kingdoms. So it's just a lot of hype, a lot of excitement at a higher level as well. And in some of the networking events and others, there were some bigger names here. One of which is Kwaku Mandela, who's Nelson Mandela's grandson. He was here, he was speaking, he was part of working with Africa DAO and a couple others that were in town doing some big things. And we actually met him and talked to him about DeFi Kingdoms for a little while. And he got so excited that when he was up on a stage at one of the events, he actually gave us a big shout out. No one asked him to. That was pretty cool. There was another shout out, I think, at a few of the concerts. There's Dead Mouse as well. There was a shout out. And it's just been exciting. A lot of good energy. These events are really important to get out for people to see the team, not only in our community, but for others. It's rare what we have here. And I think when you look at the innovation, when you look at the team, the talent, the energy, and the very aggressive roadmap and what we've done in such a short amount of time, people notice and they're impressed. They ask questions, and then word of mouth, it continues to spread. So really big effort in Denver and really successful. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. Thank you for everybody that shared from afar. And for those that were in person, it was great meeting you, and we hope to meet more in the future. Shifting gears to some of the questions that as part of Eth Denver, we did some alpha drops. One of those topics was on the champion program. And since then, I think some questions have come in. One, I'm going to make an attempt to answer or speak to a few of them. If I miss any, I'll pause, and then you can ask me any questions that might have come in that I didn't touch on. One of them, so just to recap the program real quick. So if you think about those that would really like to come and start playing DeFi Kingdoms, but they don't have the money necessary to get started, or they just want to have an additional way to play and earn, and not necessarily no incremental funds to buy more heroes to Quest, for example, the champion program is meant to cater to those. It also caters to those that are very interested, maybe from more of an investment perspective. They bought a bunch of assets in the form of hero NFTs, but they don't have time to keep up with questing them in the most efficient way possible, running them X amount of times through for Y days in a row. So you have two needs here. What we're trying to do is bridge those needs. Those with assets and no time connect with those with time, but maybe not as many assets as they have time to use, and provide an in-game safe experience for those with assets to essentially pay those for the service of playing with those assets on behalf of the other account without actually moving them to another wallet where they're at risk. So some of the related questions are, okay, so I'm setting a contract as the one owning the heroes. I'm setting a contract price, and then somebody has to take that contract and abide by the contract requirements. In my example, questing once a day for 7 days in order to get the amount that's held in escrow. Let's just call it 10 Joule. Some have asked, are we going to put like a minimum wage kind of requirement on there? And I hate calling it a wage for many reasons. I don't want to do that, but that was the wording of the question. This is a hard one. It's undecided at this point because the more we manipulate and control, the less this whole thing is allowed for people to do what they want. But at the same time, we would not want to incentivize a program that's not rewarding for the champions. We would hope that people would look at their heroes and look at, at recent weeks. To recap, if I'm providing a quest contract on mining, those heroes are going to mine my locked jewel, not the person taking the heroes. They're going to mine it for me. They're going to run it X amount of times a day for and on my behalf. So if I look at mining and gardening, it's probably pretty easy to estimate about, if I run these once a day for 7 days, how much will I make and how much of that am I willing to pay somebody else to do for me. That's easy. For the drops like runes and eggs and fishing and foraging, it gets a little bit hard. It's more variable, right? So we would hope that people would pay attention to how much they have been getting and maybe forecast a little bit on how much they may be getting and offer a fair price. But we're going to help with that too. I think we're going to try to have some type of, you can call them analytics, but just data to show if you load up 6 heroes, maybe even like a trailing amount of drops, or mix that with current prices, give suggestions on what it could be. That would feel much better, providing information rather than like controlling and saying the minimum is 10 Joule per contract or something. So to answer the question, we're thinking about it. It's undecided. Really what we're going to do is roll out the functionality of a wallet allowing another wallet to have limited access to a set of heroes for a limited reason for one of the quests, and then build from there. We're not going to launch the whole monetized version of the champion program off the bat. We just want to build out the functionality so that people could do this more in private, and we can work out the kinks and then refine as we go. So I think I hopefully in re-explaining the program answered a couple of the questions that we got, and then the specific question on are we going to control the actual minimum? I'm sure we'll have probably a really small minimum so somebody can't go and be 0.00001 joule or something. But I don't think we're going to try to calculate for the players what is worth it to them, because everybody has different heroes, different lock jewel amounts, different amounts in the garden at different levels and so on. So, Bolon, did I cover all the questions that we got? Anything to add on for the champion program?
Yeah, I think that covers the majority of it. The one thing I was going to see if you wanted to touch on a little bit is the extent to which we want to provide data on both ends of that situation, to the champion and to the other end user.
Sure. The data is important for both, right? Because this is a two-way agreement. Champions aren't forced to take contracts. If they see a contract that they think is underpriced relative to the effort to put in, they don't take the contract. So information will help them make that decision as well. I don't want to promise, over-promise what the information is, because we haven't gotten that far to see exactly what will be possible. But it is an area we're solving for. Both the champion and those providing the contract to the champion need to be given relevant information so that fair quest contract amounts can be set, received, agreed upon, and completed.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that covered the majority of the questions that we had come in all in one, which is way easier than asking them individually in this case. So at this point, unless anybody has anything to add real quick, we are going to start bringing people up on the stage. As always, when you get up here, please mute yourself until we call on you so that we don't just have a whole bunch of noise. I'm going to call a couple people at once so that we can move things a little bit quicker. Anybody have anything? Nobody is unmuting. All right, Mez, go ahead.
Hey guys. I promise I only ask one question today, but I'm going to ask a little bit of a longer one because I want to give a bit of nuance, so I apologize beforehand already. The general topic of the question is wanting to hear from the team what their general intent is on where they want to incentivize new adoption towards DFK. Specifically, do we want adoption in new players or existing players actively playing the game and interacting with the game systems? Or do we want adoption on the parts of the DEX system that DFK in essence still is, like providing liquidity, bringing liquidity to the platform? And the reason that I want to bring this up is for the specific communications that have been put out by the team. So for me personally, I'm personally very convinced that you guys want to drive the adoption of the actual gameplay. However, some of the announcements in recent past have shown maybe some mixed signals. For example, if we look at the very first announcement, which incentivized actually leveling your hero, so like actively playing the game and going through quests and all of those things, it was displayed in a form of race to reach level 10, the first before the deadline, which has actually ended today, I think, or a few days ago. So the issue with that I think is it's a good thing to incentivize people to level heroes as that drives gameplay. However, if you did the math, like see how far you get, at the very most, heroes who are naturally leveled without using any stamina potions would only reach maybe deep into level 6. If you're very lucky, you can reach level 7. So in fact, it almost became a buying your Crystal Veil Gen 0 through purchasing stamina potions. So it almost feels like it's phrased in a sense like playing the game, but in fact you needed to provide liquidity by buying ecosystem up and driving up the gold price and influencing the hero ROI and all of those other things. So I'm not sure what the balance here is of the general vision of the team. The second concern, and then I promise I'll shut up about it, is that in the way that stamina potions are influenced right now, so also relating to the previous topic, This is a very interesting gameplay mechanic, and I think it's very cool to see that you can actually quest more with heroes. But there are some concerns from a few people in the community that this devalues actively playing the game. I can imagine that some people who come into the game right now, or have come in a few months ago or a few weeks ago, they try to level their heroes, they're questing a lot, and all of a sudden, a few whales pop in a few thousand jewel, buy up a lot of stamina potions, and instantly get a level 10 hero. So it feels like a play-to-win system instead of a play-to-earn system. However, for me personally, I'm not convinced. I just wanted to hear what the team's general vision is on what direction they want to drive the adoption.
Yeah, hey, I could speak to some of this. So yeah, it's the age-old question of if you have play to earn, how do you differentiate that or separate it, or do you even need to from the pay-to-win mentality as well? Any game that involves like real-life capital in such a very fundamental way, I think by definition has to incorporate some of both. There will be those that have like more assets to put into the game, and to a certain extent you get more out of the game from how much you put into it. So it is a very new thing that like we're trying to do. There isn't any blueprint or like roadmap out there that has been tried and true. So we're feeling our way as we go. But for that one in particular, that was the intention, is to basically incentivize people to like race there, and that will involve like using all of the assets at their disposal, including their heroes, including their time, also including stuff like their existing stuff they've quested for and their jewels and that type of things as well. Yeah, it did drive a lot of the play to earn aspect of it, because if some people are trying to min-max in one direction, that means that in order to support that, they have to buy things or to acquire things from other players that are trying to min-max things in other directions. And so it creates this ecosystem where there's a supply and a demand there. So really, some players are in it to try to get the best heroes and to try to get the best teams in the highest levels, and other players are in it to earn from like their playing and their questing. And so we're basically connecting those two players up and saying, you guys can provide, the other ones can consume, and each of you can get what you're after. And that's what it's really about. So we are always trying to find new like ways and creative ways to incentivize all kinds of play styles. And so you'll see other things in the future that will incentivize other play styles as well.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I think if we don't find unique ways to add utility to every single token in the game, then there's no point. If there was no extra, what we really viewed as a fun incentive, I honestly didn't even think of it as an incentive. Man, people really go crazy and they quest as much as they can before the first month we're launching this whole thing with all the excitement, and they hit level 10. Let's reward them rather than saying we're going to isolate a select group of people and incentivize them. But I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think I would change any of that, because it did provide incremental utility for stamina potions. If that wasn't there, I'm not sure if as many people would even be making the potions and then selling them, and then as a result earning from them. But maybe some feedback on an approach is, if we have an incentive program that benefits those essentially buying stamina potions or crafting them themselves, you get resources by questing. A lot of the stamina potions, they probably made themselves as well. But if you get an incentive from leveling up quickly as a result of using or crafting or buying others' crafted stamina potions, maybe we could think about expanding it a little bit and saying, oh, what incentives could we put out there for those crafting and selling those potions? That could be an important piece of feedback. Because what we don't want to do is to say, oh, we're not going to find ways to incentivize players to play the game, which adds higher demand, more utility for others, balancing out that ecosystem. But I think a fair piece of feedback is, hey, can we continue to find creative ways to reward all those involved in that equation, all those in the ecosystem? And we really try to do that in all the snapshots that we have. But as you were talking, that was one thought that came to mind.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear that there's a very clear vision on where you guys want to go. And again, as some of the people mentioned in the chat, this is mostly me trying to voice some of the discussions I've heard going around. Reading between the lines, I personally am convinced that you guys want to promote the game, but I'm glad that we can sometimes have a chat I'll pop off and not take up any more time.
Appreciate you as always, Metas. Thank you much. Real quick on that, Fox just made a point in the chat, but I feel like it's worth vocalizing real quick. The one difference with pay to win when you look at a structure like DeFi Kingdoms is even if it seems to be a pay to win mechanic, they're paying other players. That they're not buying a DLC from a AAA game provider. They're not paying for in-game items that just goes to the company that makes the game. Everything that's internal economy is going to other players. So even something like those stamina potions, they're being bought from other players. So I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind, that even when we compare to other pay-to-win mechanics, it's not really quite the same thing there. Maliance?
Yeah, first I want to say, Bolin, it's great to see that you have your voice back.
Appreciate it.
Second, I have two relatively short questions. One is just a question I wanted to relay from the support channel I've seen a couple times. There's a lot of people that English is not their native language, and while there's channels for support, they're wondering if there's going to be adoption to other languages for the actual game itself.
If no one else wants to take this, I will. All right. So yes would be the short answer. As I mentioned earlier, community standpoint, we're working on building out some communities for other languages so that they can have more robust assistance experiences, more comparable to what we have here versus a single channel. As far as in-game goes, the in-game browser translations work okay, but they are not great and they are not perfect. It is something that we have been working on. We actually have one semi-completed, which will then be implemented for testing. Oh, actually, Kant, go for it.
I thought you might want some help here. Yeah, so the short answer is yes, we do plan to provide some in-game translation / localization. We've started a project on that. It requires some stuff, a lot of stuff, really, in terms of just getting a system that can accommodate that set up within our code base. Once it's there, it'll be easier to start adding multiple languages. The other thing that's a challenge that we're trying to overcome is we update so rapidly, and so trying to keep on the same page with that and keep everything updated at the same pace is going to be difficult, but we are planning to do it. We are starting with Chinese, simplified Chinese, and so we're a ways into that work already. And just to drop something else as well that I don't know if Bolon was going to mention, we're also working on, and Jericho, who's probably listening but isn't on stage, has been doing a lot of work on figuring out, again, the mechanics behind being able to keep our documentation translated as well. So that's something that we're going to be working on, is hosting full versions of our game docs, as I should say, in a variety of languages, as many as we think we can reasonably support. So hopefully that helps.
Absolutely, thank you. I just wanted to get that noted for the people that do show up in the support and ask those questions. The other question is mostly towards Dreamer. With the Champions Incentives, would it be possible for us to offer bonuses, or on the contract is this is the stable amount of 5 Joule to quest my heroes, and if you bring back an egg, you get a bonus incentive of 10 Joule?
Yeah, it would be interesting to look into the possibilities with the smart contracts. I think we want to start simple. I've had other questions come up. I'm glad you asked this, as it's related, and I didn't touch on it earlier. Thought I hit all the points, but you reminded me I didn't. There are other questions. So if you compare this to the Scholar program is a little bit different. It's more of a, hey, here's my heroes, go use them, and then we will split whatever they're worth at the end. And there's a lot of problems with that, a lot of pain points with that. Let's say a week goes by and somebody gets an egg, comes back, and let's say that the going price of that egg, I'm just going to make up a number. I don't know what it is. Let's say it's 100 Joule, right? You're like, oh man, you got this egg, 100 Joule. Cool. Oh, we agreed to 50-50. I don't have 50 Joule available to pay you. I guess I have to go figure out how to sell this egg, or I have to sell other stuff to make it there, or I'm not going to make do on the 50-50. So it introduces a lot, especially when you think about runes and other things as well. You essentially are faced with the decision of having to liquidate it or not. And in the game, the smart contract, we can't just auto liquidate everything as well. So to simplify it, the champion program having that fixed cost, what is it worth to those lending the assets and what is it worth to those running them for you? You come to that agreement, it's mutually beneficial. Can we find a way to add variability in that drop? I think we could add it as an option if we could find ways to support it. I can't imagine that's going to be in our initial supported features because it would probably get quite complex. But hypothetically, it would be really cool if I said, hey, I'm going to give you 15 Joule. If you quest these miners twice a day, 7 days. If you only quest them once a day for 7 days, I will give you 7 Joule. And if you do get an egg, I'm going to give you an additional 20 Joule per egg. Now, we would have to put all of that into escrow to make sure it's safe, that the champion doesn't necessarily get, quote unquote, ripped off, or there's no default. So then you're going to have to probably put a lot more there than you could end up paying out. There's a bit of variability there, and it could also make the smart contracts really complex and clicky. So my reaction is how I'm thinking about it. My response is, I think it's a great idea, but the actual answer to your question is, I wouldn't expect that functionality in the champion program when we go live could grow towards that direction, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I appreciate the responses.
Thanks, Mally. It's good to see you up here again. Grizz, what's going on today?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Nice to finally talk to you and voice here. Just wanted to touch on something that I guess Meta has already had really covered most of, but regarding the stam pot kind of funding the player economy in a bit. I thought it was an interesting and pretty smart way to get things flowing in that economy. Is that something that the devs are looking at, trying to make more of a permanent thing and in terms of floating the economy until we get to this feedback loop that I'm assuming is going to be self-sustaining once we get to, say, PvE, PvP kind of stuff? And also in kind of a same vein, what do you think is going to bring kind of bank holders and these heavy kind of more investor types into playing with heroes more, or is that a goal that you're going to try to achieve?
So I'm going to answer the question that I heard. I apologize if the question you asked was different. What's going behind the overall intent to incentivize? Is this something we want to do long term? We've been looking at it in isolation, but if we take a step back, and I think some of the raffles were awarding potentially Gen Zeros and Crystal Vale, think about what are other ways that those would come out. And then I think we had a land raffle. Other projects have just straight out sold them. Fixed price, they set the price, they go out and you just sell them. What we're trying to do is find ways for when new highly valued assets come out, we don't necessarily always just have to do a flat sale. So I think oftentimes it can appear like, oh, we're just finding ways to incentivize gameplay. We are, but we're also trying to avoid ways of just selling stuff to those that have a lot of money that will probably bid up the initial price so high, many of the players don't actually get to enjoy it. So it's really being overly thoughtful about who's playing the game. We have Gen Zeros coming out. How many can we allocate to just drop them in fun and creative ways so that the people actually providing liquidity, the people actually summoning, the people actually questing and leveling up, they're the ones to get these heroes that they're not necessarily paying for it out of pocket for a fixed price. So the mindset, I think, would continue. We'll probably continue to try to get creative, especially as combat and other features in the game. Imagine what kind of things you could do with these giveaways on how many games you win. Maybe gets you a vote in a raffle or something else related to land or guilds or in the champion program, getting X amount of contracts in a month. There's so many different ways we will be able to reward people in a raffle or snapshot fashion. I think up till now it's felt a bit linear, but we're really trying to continue to reward gameplay and those participating rather than just flat out selling something that's perceived as going to be very high value to folks that may or may not even be using it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just to echo that, there's all kinds of different styles of play in our game, and we're trying to figure out the best way to bring value to each style. Some people play the game for a certain reason, other people play it for other reasons, but trying to provide that feedback loop of adding value into the ecosystem so that players can interact with other players and earn from other players and pay other players. Really just a real in-game economy for those services. Like the whole pay to win or having auctions and things like that. All of those things are set up so that it's not going to us, it's going to the community in a very real way to help to increase that intrinsic value of our game. So that's really the important part there.
Yeah, I think the way that it was done was pretty good. Obviously, you can't 100% tailor this to be perfect, but I guess really my other part of my second question was is there something you're thinking we want to have a certain percentage of players actually playing with heroes? Are you trying to lure out the bank players? There's an us and them mentality versus kind of hero holders who play with a lot of heroes, and then there's a lot of guys who are just kind of sitting in the bank, and it's viewed as they're just playing the super safe game. Is that something you're looking to do?
Yeah, it's just all about creating the right incentives because hopefully everything would be incentivized such that everyone wants to do everything. But some people just aren't going to be interested in playing a game. Some people are going to be more interested in one thing or another. We just want to make sure that everything has a experience that will basically cater to the most people so that they feel like it's a good use of their time. So I wouldn't say that we're trying to shoot for specific hard percentages rather than just trying to make everything as appealing as we can so that everything is actually fun.
Yeah, if you think of the different stages, when we were only a Dex, it was very simple. We didn't really have this question. And then when we were only summoning heroes, it was oh man, should it be in the garden? Should it be in the what was previously called bank, now called jeweler, for fee sharing and all these summons? And then, oh man, the tavern's out. Which one's better? We want people to be able to make their own choices and not us really control any of this. If I were to speculate, we're on the dawn of now real gameplay. And although it's not at our doorstep, it's on the horizon. We're definitely focused on it and working on it. All of the resources that will feed into potions and all of the heroes that have been leveling up and getting stronger and preparing for battle, it's going to change the game quite a bit where we'll actually have people coming in probably purely just to play and excited to just play. And then there are going to be others looking on and being wow, that looks like a really good platform, a really good investment. I think it's unlikely that they're going to actually that many people will go through all the effort to get all the heroes if they're not even going to play them. So some people might even just say, I'm going to drop X or Y amount in the jeweler for a long-term directional exposure and bet and fee sharing mechanism. That fits my risk reward profile and my time commitment. So that's going to be what I'm going to do. I don't think we'd ever want to control who can come in and how that should split. We only want to continue to provide availability for all players, investors, participants to have areas to participate within the project and the game and let it grow organically in more of a fair, ungoverned or loosely governed or manipulated way.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys. I just want to say, if it seems like we're a little hard on you sometimes, it's just because we're so passionate about the game. And it's just, it's really something that's bringing us together.
Absolutely. Thank you for the questions as well, Driz. And that's what the whole point of this is. I actually was just saying that in chat a second ago. That's why we have these, is for y'all to come and ask us questions. Questions are good things. It's the whole purpose of these AMAs that we do every week is so that we can answer what's on y'all's minds. So never hesitate to ask what you're thinking about. With that, we are going to draw it to a close because we still almost made it to an hour. I do want to remind everybody real quick that on Wednesday, we are going to have a perilous journey discussion with Hubert. We're going to be deep diving some different parts of that quest. We'll say quest. So we're going to have the discussion with Hubert. It's going to be hosted on YouTube so that we can do some screen sharing. There will be more details for that coming, such as a time and a link. But plan for that on Wednesday. We will have that. And then after that discussion, we're going to post a specific form for Perilous Journey questions so that we can try to clear up anything that doesn't get cleared up in that discussion. With that, let's go around the horn real quick for some closing comments. Risen?
Just excited for the next event. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Pieface?
I'm super excited for the Avalanche Summit and all the merch. All the bloater merch. That's the most exciting. Thanks, everybody.
All merch. I do love merch. Spicy?
Yeah, send me all the bloater beanies, please. But yeah, I'm just super excited, really glad to be here. Can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, listening in. I plan to be at more of these AMAs in the future. Super excited. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I really appreciated what Driz said there at the end. You are passionate about this process, this progress, this team, this system. We are too. And we love answering these questions, but I think we also really listen. And so I appreciate the feedback and the ideas. You hear it even today with Dreamer. Wow, I'm thinking about that now. I hadn't thought about it that way. We do as a team really try and figure out creative ways to make this better every day. So thank you. You're an amazing community.
Absolutely. And I'm going to plug real quick there as well. When y'all send stuff to myself or Isla or any of our knights, it does get passed on. It's definitely something that we want and care about and take seriously and listen to. So anytime you have something, feel free to reach out to us. Maybe we don't have an answer. That's absolutely a possibility. We may not have an answer, but it does get passed on. These guys can tell you I send a lot of community feedback messages. So please, that's what we're here for. Dreamer?
Yeah, I think I'll echo the last two comments a little bit as well with kind of an invite. I think there was almost like an apology. It might be hard on you guys sometime, but I don't see it that way. I actually see the questions that are asked oftentimes representing a larger group or a theme rather than a personal, I'm upset about this, so I'm going to complain. We are all in this together. We need the best ideas. We as like the core team, as it's referred to oftentimes, it's called core team because we're not the only ones. We have contributors. We also have participants. We have investors. We have everybody involved. So to have the mindset of why did you do this or could you do this? I think those are okay. Hopefully everybody's saying we are receptive not only to other projects coming in and building on top of DeFi Kingdoms, but those within DeFi Kingdoms suggesting and questioning and offering good solutions and helpful and supportive. So we want to continue to build that culture. It's an invitation for everybody to feel empowered in that. If you have good ideas, share them. If you hear somebody complaining in a way that you have a good answer to that, help that person maybe understand or learn and continue to pass on what the new maybe new approach or new feature that we might already be thinking about and in progress. So it's really an appreciation of the passion, but also just making sure we're all aware this is going to continue to get really big. In order to succeed, we need everybody contributing. We need all hands on deck. And we are very grateful for all the good, healthy, well-intentioned comments and ideas and suggestions that come from so many in the community.
You guys rock. Fox?
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for the excellent questions. I've said it many times before, and I really mean it. Ask the hard questions. We need to hear them. We don't want to surround ourselves with a bunch of yes men. We are here to build the greatest thing that has ever been seen on the blockchain. And so in order to get there, we need to pass through many refiners' fires. And like everyone here is a member of like this whole project. Like it's not just us. All of you guys are stakeholders. We are all stakeholders in this project. So it's super important that we all spend some time and think about it. Like, how should we build this? What is the best way? I have an idea about this. I'm going to let the team know. I hear ideas all day long over there, even about small things like, hey, I'd like to make that parrot in the docks like squawk. That was one of the things we heard this morning. We do listen to those, and we're super excited to be here with you guys and to be creating this game and to have this opportunity that we all are creating this entirely new industry and new world out there. So really excited to be here, excited for this week and for next week and for all the big things that are coming, and love the community. You guys are amazing. And I guess that's it from me. All that's left is to say bullish.
I want to throw in real quick. Kant just confirmed we're going to have a parrot squawking at the docks.
And it's going to say bullish.
Yes, as always, thank you everyone for being here, both audience and stage. Thank you to everyone who asked us questions. We really appreciate you guys. We would not be here without you. Keep thinking, keep dreaming, keep bringing us ideas and suggestions and feedback. Thank you everyone up here for taking the time out of the day to be here and answer these questions for us and with us. I'm always here for everybody in the audience and everybody on the stage. If y'all need anything, please come see us. Bullish.